The following is a presentation of TFNN.
And this is David White sitting in for Tom O'Brien, which I normally do on Friday afternoons, where we talk in broad strokes technology. And we'll just do a little market recap as we start the day. It is 1691.74 on the S&P cash. That was off 6.93, and the volume came in. I use a little different volume than Tom O'Brien normally does. You normally will hear him talk about the NYSE volume, which is floor traded. It's about 30% of the actual shares that are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Most of them are traded across ECNs or electronic commerce networks at a much lower price. But it all holds up. It's a big enough sample size. Like asking 1,500 people who they're going to vote for president, you're probably going to come in plus or minus 5%. With asking, with having 25% of the shares, about probably 1%. Plus or minus, so excellent sample size if you're using just a floor traded volume. But I use the slightly larger total volume of the ECN, and that includes, they call it Tape 2. It also includes the New York Stock Exchange and the Amex. So it'll be interesting. If you want to give me a call, you can at 877-927-6648. And remember, we're talking broad strokes on technology today. So just a little bit on there. Today, I'm writing about in the Tech Insider, Google is 15 years old. Android actually was 5 years old yesterday. So we're hitting some major milestones along the way. Kind of hardly remember the days before smartphones. I think that Android's already 5 years old from the first product, and Google's 15 years old. It's kind of amazing. Google, of course, wrote about them in the newsletter today, but when you really get down to it, Google, 95% of what Google does and make money on is an algorithm, and they released a new version of their algorithm. But they came to prominence because their algorithm was much better at learning about what people wanted and ranking those. And as people continued to use Google, it only got better because it knew which ones the last person picked and moved them up on the list. And now a giant behemoth of a company, and 15 years old, a long way from starting to computer science grads from, what was it, Stanford University, wasn't it? Yeah. So, long way. Other things I'm writing about this week. Microsoft has its first really big innovation in many years, and no one's talking about it. So you can always go to the front page of TFNN and get a 2-week trial of the Tech Insider. Other things that I wrote about this week. Samsung has a new, some new technology that is also innovation. It is probably the first large-scale version of practical use of graphene, the one-atom thick material that has got scientists all over the globe in a lather for the last 4 or 5 years. And it is, I think Samsung may leapfrogs, I can't even say it, leapfrog, Apple's latest device. It is going to be rather interesting. Also, if you're a fan of NVIDIA, their margins, I think, are going to be under threat in the coming months. And I wrote a little bit about that and a whole lot more. Again, go to the front page of TFNN.com, and you can get a 2-week trial of the newsletter, too. Other things going on in the news. This week, Braintree was bought by eBay. And, of course, they own PayPal, too. So this is really going to fall under the umbrella of PayPal. They announced an agreement to acquire the payments company Braintree for $800 million. There's several ways to grow. One is to buy out your competition, and this is what eBay is doing. eBay's, of course, been under some pressure for a while. It hasn't been really growing well. And, of course, there's several other companies out in this space right now. Square, for one, that looks to go public probably next year, and some others. The acquisition would add significantly to PayPal's mobile-driven transaction volume. PayPal claims that it will handle about $20 billion in mobile transactions during 2013. So, interesting. The NASA and Department of Homeland Security have a revolutionary handheld radar unit that comes to fruition this week. They were out showing it around. If anybody saw Aliens, the movie, they were always had a kind of a motion tracker where all the aliens were moving around in the spaceship or wherever they were stuck on a planet once. Anyway, all the aliens, every time they moved, this thing could pick up heartbeats and heat and tell them where all their buddies were. Pretty interesting technology. Well, like a lot of great things that we find in day-to-day use, scientific either movies or books pre-shadowed them. They gave people an idea of what they may want to design and build in the future. And, of course, this came out. It actually identifies people, and they built it for collapsed buildings, disaster sites. And what it will do is, solely based on their breathing patterns and heartbeats, find them in tons of total wreckage. But the interface actually very, very close to what was in the Aliens movie. And you can always think just what's out there in coming movies that is going to spark the creative juices of people to build new and fascinating devices. Of course, I'm sure that this will be used for other things. And I think it actually had been probably a prototype of this had probably been used by SEALs and other people in the military, in the government, but they are now letting this out into the light of day, and I think probably going to end up saving a lot of lives in the near future. The next time we have a big disaster or an earthquake, the Department of Homeland Security is going to be able to go in there and know which people they can save and where they're at. And apparently they are talking about distances, even in rubble and concrete, of up to 100 yards and working on this. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Again, you can give me a call, 877-927-6648. And if you have a question about broad technology this week, we'd appreciate it. Other things going on in Microsoft. Today, Microsoft demoed a prototype gesture-controlled PC using an augmented version of its kinetic motion sensing system. The rig detects 16 gestures, can be used to navigate through Windows 8. Of course, the 8.1 version of Windows is coming out the 7th or 8th of October. Just in a few days. It's going to be fairly interesting. The issue with this is where computers are going, and part of that is what is known as the natural user interface. We see it where we point and move our fingers together and pinch to zoom and unpinch to unzoom. A lot of gestures, a lot of things that aren't keyboard or mouse oriented at all under the umbrella of natural user interfaces. And if we're investors, probably there's going to be some gold in them there hills. It is going to be interesting. But I saw some video of this, I think it was on YouTube today. But especially for people that may have some infirmities, going to be very interesting to see how this technology develops. There are several other competitors to this kind of technology that are out now, but there was some discussion today about putting this together in tablets to really augment the input capability that you see in not only Microsoft tablets, but tablets across the Android and Apple spectrum. So going to be interesting in the near future. Again, real quickly, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648, and we're going to be talking broad technology IBM off today, down $3.35, closed at 186.87. Some other ones out there that are a little hurting, but we'll be talking about this through the remainder of the hour. See you in just a second.